Hey guys, Tarke here, and since the rip of the last character, I also need to make a new character. I'm not entirely sure what I want to play, so I've planned out 4 different builds. I'm very open to feedback. I'm also very open to suggestions, so if you have anything that you think that I would enjoy, type it down below. Now, I was very, very, very tempted to abandon bow builds after the last death, just play something fresh, play something new. I wanted to use the fire axe, the Nahama. It's asking to say something offensive at axe, and maybe do something with Flicker Strike or Cyclone as a raider. But I thought, you know what, we've been doing bow builds the majority of this league, let's just stick it out, let's play the bow build you still haven't played, and then at the end of the league you can make a nice sort of informed video comparing the different styles and approaches, strengths and weaknesses, and then if we do get any changes or new skills in the future, you're in a very good position to say, yeah, well, I've played like everything, so that's what I'm going to try and do. So these are like 4 trees that I've just sort of mapped out in the last 30 minutes. They're not perfectly optimized. I've only just made them. Whenever I make a skill tree from scratch, I glance to see what other people have done, use some bases where I can, map it out, play it, tune it, play it, tune it, expect these to change. You can see flaws in them. So there are 4 different things that are going on here. There is some CI stuff, there's a champion tree, there's some attack-based builds, there's pure elemental, poison, chaos, caustic arrow, all that good stuff. So we'll start with this tree because this is just what's currently up. This is a 100% elemental conversion, either Pathfinder or Raider. I'm not entirely sure which one I want to play first, or which one I'd want to play, so I'll just go over the tree, kind of the base idea, and then I'll talk between the 2 different ascendancies and we can try and see what we prefer. So people have been nagging me to make a CI bow build. CI bow builds. Basically, get 100% conversion through one of a few ways. Most likely the Signal Fire Quiver. The Signal Fire Quiver is pretty good TM. It gives a lot of damage. It gives up to 35% of your fizz as extra fire damage and converts 50% of your damage to fire. So depending on what skills you want to use, what items you want to use, you can use that plus a physical to lightning gem and suddenly you have 100% elemental damage. Now, the bad thing about that is your damage type is split between multiple, like both fire and lightning. It means any weakness is your sort of go-to curse. If you want to be specialized in one thing, the Zoth's Nurture Bow, which came out of this league, I tried making a build with it at the start of the league, wasn't very happy with it and sort of dropped it to the side. This would be a really good way to revisit it. You can use the Zoth's Bow, which has very high base fizz, 6% crit, sort of good enough, and give you 50% fire conversion. Use that plus the Signal Fire, you suddenly have 100% conversion, and you can slap inflammability, maybe also fit in any weakness if you can, and suddenly you have something which sort of works. I don't get Pierce in the tree because I'm not entirely sure what skill gems I'd want to use in this kind of a build. You have a few options. We are close to AoE, so you could do something with Blast Rain. You could do something with Rain of Arrows if you wanted to. Alternatively, you can just use Tornado Shot. Tornado Shot is one of those skills which doesn't need Pierce. It doesn't need Chain. It's just good enough as is. Tornado Shot just had new MTX come out, so I don't know. As for Ascendancy, do you want to do it as Pathfinder? Do you want to do it as Raider? They kind of do the same thing, and I really don't understand why both of these Ascendancies are attached to the same class. So this is out of date, 40% elemental damage and status element immunity, 40% elemental damage, status element immunity. So that's already just kind of a wash. Basically, you get frenzy charge generation, which you normally don't have in CI builds, which is obviously pretty powerful, and you get Avatar of the Veil. Since we don't get all the frenzy charges, we're close to frenzy charges, so if we wanted to, we could. You'd probably do something like Avatar of the Veil, Weather Poacher, then probably Rapid Assault. I'm pretty sure that's been buffed up to 40% attack damage now. That would obviously scale out Elemental, and it would give us Onslaught on Kill, or a chance to anyway. Might be better than Avatar of the Slaughter. Pick between the two. Avatar of the Slaughter would still be good, but something sort of like this than either that or that. However, I think I prefer Pathfinder just because Pathfinder. Master Alchemist, again, says immunity, same elemental damage. You also get a chance to Freeze Shock Ignite. This is a crit build, so that becomes less good, but still, it's kind of nice. Flask Effect, Flask Charges Gain, Flask Effect is broken. 8% reduced elemental damage taken. This helps against Reflect. This is very helpful in minus max maps. This is just ridiculously powerful. Obviously, it's 100% elemental, so you don't get Master Herbalist. Veteran Boa gets an additional 10% of your fizz as a random element. Very powerful. 10% elemental penetration. Even more flask charges gained against enemies affected by status elements. This is a crit build, always status elements. And then round it out with Nature's Adrenaline, giving you some movement speed. You could say, but Tarke, Raider moves a lot faster. Well, not really. You get movement speed from being a Pathfinder. You get all this flask effectiveness, which makes your Quicksilver super juicy. So I think Pathfinder's probably even faster than a Raider. I think for this kind of a tree, I'd probably go with Raider. Again, not 100% optimized, but I think I kind of like it. The energy shield isn't the best. You can still pick up Foresight here. We do, however, get all the juicy flask effect stuff. We do get all of Vitality Void and Volpax. You can maybe drop these last 2 points, but I probably wouldn't want to. Get Deadly Draw. This is assuming that you're using just like a GG Fizzbone doing a bunch of conversion. You also have Aspect of the Eagle, which gives pretty good DPS and accuracy for conversion shenanigans. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with points. There's a lot of things you can do with this kind of a build. I was also sort of tempted to maybe pick up this Jewel because you could get both Void Barrier and Nullification. Again, use one of those Dream Jewels if you're doing the Zoph's version. You could pick up the Red Dream, which would give you 5% of your fire, which would be a lot as extra chaos. And then also 60% chance to get an endurance charge on kill. That's like a really nice added layer of defense. It's 4 extra points if you fit that in. Cut some damage because you're gaining the damage from the chaos. Not entirely sure if you could also do stuff with Lightning Arrow and Fizz to Lightning and have even more penetration on your Lightning Arrow. You then are in a kind of an awkward situation with your single target skill because your single target skill is most likely going to be Barrage or Blast Rain, in which case this Lightning Pen comes slightly less good, but that's still a pretty valid option. So this is sort of like concept number unos. Concept number 2, again, I call this bad Caustic Arrow build because I've just sort of put everything into the tree. I need to cut points from it, obviously, it's very high. Now, I've played Caustic Arrow quite a few times before. Whenever I've played it before, I've played it as life. I do like playing it as life, and I always do the whole Pierce setup. Now, doing it as CI, you probably don't want Pierce, you probably want to use Soul Strike, in which case you drop these. Because the whole reason why Pierce is good with Caustic Arrow is its quality of life, and you use a drill neck. Now, if you're doing it as CI, you don't want to use a drill neck, so you probably use Soul Strike. So, yeah, probably just cut those nodes there. You can pick up Essence Surge if you want to really embrace the meme of, well, Energy Shield regen. Pick up Essence Surge, pick up that, and then to cut some points, you could cut Pathfinder Start, cut Primal Spirit. I like this little section. But yeah, it'd be cut the start of either Shadow or cut the start of Ranger. I think for 2 points, Ballistic Mastery is worth taking, and the fact that it gives you 30 dex, which helps with stat requirements. It also gives you Proj Speed, which is quality of life. It gives you Proj Damage, which is damage. So you're already at Ballistic Mastery, at which point getting Primal Spirit for 2 points is really juicy. Caustic Arrow is a bit heavy on the mana. You're a CI build, you don't have like, you don't want to use a mana pot, so having some stuff there is good. A lot of people take Soul Siphon to get that mana gain on kill, so getting 2 points for mana is worth, and then it's just a case of, well, Ranger Start versus Shadow Start. Ranger Start is the same damage, but this gives 4% attack speed. 4% attack speed is better than 12 life in a CI build, so yeah, you'd probably cut that. We take all of the regen from Growth and Decay. You can use the Zealot's Oath Sulphur Flask, which gives you Zealot's Oath during Flask effects, so this life regen isn't wasted, it's still efficient damage. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty solid. We go for Wicked Ward over Malediction. This is just a dual curse setup with a Heretic's Veil. You can drop Wicked Ward, get Malediction, pick up some more Aura Reservation, and do Tricurse. With Charisma, no fancy enlightens or anything, that is enough to run 2 curses and a discipline. So there's that. A life version as a champion. There's actually quite a few different ways of doing Caustic Arrow as life. I've seen some people do stuff with Raider, although I'm not too sure about that. You can do it as Deadeye. Deadeye seems actually pretty solid. You get a lot of just raw damage in all this Proj Speed stuff. You get more proj damage, you get increased AoE on your Caustic Arrow, and you get an additional projectile. Like, this seems really solid. People used to play Scion a lot in the past, and they used to do Occultist for the Chaos Pen, and then either Deadeye or Trickster. The current state of Scion, they nerfed Deadeye's pierce chance down to only 30%, which just feels really bad. I don't really like it. I don't really like Scion's start. I'm not a massive fan of Scion. So I think you're better off just doing it is either Deadeye for lots of damage. You can do stuff with Trickster. Frenzy Charge generation. I don't know. You can use Blood Rage Boots. You can do Curse on Hit Frenzy Charges. Not really sure how I wanted to handle Frenzy Charge of this build, so I just sort of filled in a tree roughly. The idea was Queen of the Forest, have a bunch of life, have stupid amounts of regen. If you want to get slightly more raw HP, you can drop these 6 points for these 6 points. Again, I've actually become a fan of picking up Marauder Start. It's 10% life versus 40 strength, 1.8% regen, and some dex. I actually kind of like getting the Mara Start instead. This puts you at stupid levels of life regen. If you ran Blood Rage on top of this for Frenzy Charges, then you're talking like really, really dumb levels of regen. I don't know, I kind of like it. The idea is we'd run really quickly because Queen of the Forest. It's got Fortify, so you preferably don't get randomly killed by volatiles. But you could do it as this, you could do it as this, and if you want to do it, you could do it as that. Final version is some wonky CI Null Inclination shenanigans. For the record, this is not a traditional Null Inclination build, if there is such a thing as a traditional Null Inclination build. I've played Nulls 3 times or so in the past to pretty good success. And usually when you play Null Inclination, you can do one of 2 approaches. You can do the I'm gonna make a minion build, and my minions do pretty good damage, and so on and so forth. Anyone watching Rise QT, he's currently playing a Null Inclination Golem build. That's kind of what he's doing. He's doing it as a Necromancer. The other version is I'm going to mostly focus on my damage, and then it's more of like a 60-40 split. You can kill stuff, your minions help. I'm usually a fan of the latter version because you can actually kill bosses. There are some bosses which have stupid AoE, they kill your minions. You need to take a trade, you need to leave the map, you lose all your animate weapons. It's kind of annoying. So I used to play it sort of old school Poison Barrage style using Volleyfires and the like, and that's how I used to do it, and I had a lot of success with it. I used to do it as a Pathfinder. Now this version is taking that idea to the extreme levels. It's CI just because, really. There's no real reason for it to be CI. Mostly people have been nagging me to make a CI build, so I made a CI tree. That's the best reasoning I could come up with. And it doesn't really use Null's Inclination. Well, it does use Null's Inclination. Oh, the other reason of going CI is it gets the int requirement up, because Null's has a 200 int requirement. So Null's Inclination is a 180 flat chaos damage bow with good attack speed. It's like 1.46% attack speed or something. Yeah, I think it's like 1.46 and 6% base crit. So you're an assassin, 6% base crit, you get a bunch of power charges, fine. The other thing which is kind of cool about it is, because there's so much raw chaos damage just built into the bow, the way I'm thinking you'd use it is you just play it like Poison Barrage, right? And in the bow, you just put in, like, Ice Golem. I hate golems with a passion, but you put the golem in the bow, and suddenly the golem summons itself, so it's no longer annoying. Then put in some, like, SRS, and you could put zombies in if you wanted to, you could put in skellies if you wanted to, but basically the idea is you just use the bow to summon meat shields, and they do no damage. Like, no damage. Just put in minion life, minion resistance, slap in whatever minion stuff you want in there, and you kill stuff. It has a flesh offering. There's corpse destruction, which is just nice defense against random bullshit. There's a bunch of minions which tank for you. That's really all they do, and you're just using it as a super cheap bow with ridiculous chaos damage. Seems kind of like a good idea to moi. But yeah, those are kind of the 4 builds that I've got kind of mapped out. I was trying to make something work with Champion for a while. After the character died, my initial reaction was, let's make a Champion build. You haven't played Champion since, well, the last time I played Champion was when I played Caustic Arrow Champion in Perendus, I want to say. And champion's just such a weird... It might have been prophecy anyway. It's just such a weird ascendancy. So it gives melee damage, but there's no reason to make a melee champion because melee builds can just put Fortify directly into their links. So why? The only reason I can possibly think is, well, Fortify only gives physical damage for some reason. This is just generic melee damage, so if you want to make an elemental build, then you could do champion. So that's annoying. The main reason for this existing, in my opinion, is to get Fortify on the builds which can't normally get Fortify. So we're talking about casters, wanders, bow builds. Right. The bow meta right now is do stupid shit with poison. So you're like, okay, well, poison. Hi, assassin. It's like you either do assassin or you do pathfinder because pathfinder gives you poison. If you want to be lazy, you can do raider and use snakebite poison, but use raider's frenzy charge generation, so you don't need to, have issues with frenzy charges. So with the current poison meta, you kind of don't want to be this. And then when it comes to making an elemental build, well, in most cases for most elemental builds, you kind of just want to be inquisitor. Most builds go crit, crit elemental. I know I planned out, an elemental build here, but that's for different reasons. So it's kind of just like, what would I even do as a champion? And I kept trying to come up with things, and it was just like, Earthquake? Was it? Well, I'll just do that as Slayer, and yeah. I can't really think. At one point I was kind of tempted to maybe do some sort of minion-based build, because this is you and nearby allies deal increased damage, increased unity. So I thought, oh, you could do something with minions with this, but I don't know, man. It just seems kind of weird to me. I'm not entirely sure which of these 4 builds I'm going to play. I am very much open to suggestions for other ideas you think that I've missed out. Any obvious improvements you can see to the trees, leave them below. Again, they're not particularly optimized. They're just stuff that I threw together before making this video. But that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I haven't got much currency in hardcore at the moment either. I could flip a bunch of gear. I still have my explosive arrow minus the combs. I've just whacked a belly of the beast on it. So I can do some mapping. That's probably what I'm going to do to try and build some currency up. So I don't want to plan out some acuities build, because that's just not realistic. But yes, I'm Tarke. I need to come up with an idea. I need to make the idea work. Have a good day. Bye bye.